Chapter 1 Dark Night. Before his eyes, there was total darkness. Da-da! There was a sudden sound of footsteps, and Lin Qingwan froze, and the fear in her heart almost overwhelmed her. Who is it? What are those people going to do? Lin Qingwan gritted her teeth and moved her body in the opposite direction with difficulty and slowly, but her hands were tied, and she could not move even a little bit for a long time. Suddenly, a big hand pinched Lin Qingwan's chin, and she was forced to raise her head. "Oh, you are a woman with so many tricks up your sleeve." A low, magnetic, but full of mocking and disdainful voice sounded above Lin Qingwan's head. Lin Qingwan was shocked. She had never heard this voice before. It was a strange man. Lin Qingwan struggled to throw off the man's big hand that was holding her chin, but the man's strength was too strong. Instead of being thrown off by her, on the contrary, the man pressed her down. "Tisk, TSK, you really pretend to be an innocent chick." As soon as the man's contemptuous voice fell, Lin Qingwan felt a big palm fall on her calf, slowly rubbing it along her leg and into the clothes. Well, depend on, where did the pervert come from? Unexpectedly, the kidnappers actually gave her to a lustful devil. Lin Qingwan struggled violently, and her two fair wrists were suddenly red from the handcuffs. The man's lips curved into a mocking arc, very satisfied with her violent reaction. "You have resorted to so many tricks and tried so hard. Isn't it just to get pregnant with my child? I'll treat it as if you got what you wanted this time." Lin Qingwan, who was struggling fiercely, was suddenly startled. What was this man talking about? Why is she pregnant with this man's child? This pervert. She is not a shameless woman. Lin Qingwan wanted to rush over and slap the man hard, but her hands were tied and the man restrained her feet. She had no other choice but to grunt in dissatisfaction. She will never let this man go. I don't know how long it took, but Lin Qingwan woke up again because she was slapped awake. She tried hard to lift her eyelids, but she couldn't open them. However, someone kept slapping her on the face and seemed to not stop until she woke up. Who is calling her? The thick eyelashes quivered twice, and Lin Qingwan, who had never forgotten the pain even in her sleep, slowly opened her eyes. When she came into view, she saw a beautifully dressed, tall, and charming woman standing beside her bed, with a trace of impatience flashing across her delicately made-up face. Lin Qingwan ignored the pain in her body, quickly clenched the quilt, and sat up straight, with a vigilant expression on her face. "Who are you?" The craziness of last night was still vivid in her mind, and the pain in her body was so painful that it felt like she had been run over by a car, reminding her of what happened last night. Lin Qingwan frowned slightly as she looked at the woman standing beside the bed with nervous and alert eyes. This woman's appearance was somewhat similar to hers. Shun Wenxuan, who was standing beside Lin Qingwan's bed, didn't look good. He took out a contract from a document bag and threw it lightly in front of Lin Qingwan. Lin Qingwan looked suspicious and noticed her autograph in the lower right corner of the contract. Lin Qingwan's face was shocked and her pupils shrank. This is the surrogacy agreement she signed yesterday. "It doesn't matter who I am. From today on, you stay in this villa. Don't go anywhere. Take my place. I will find someone to teach you etiquette and take care of your body." Shun Wenxuan glanced at Lin Qingwan angrily, with a trace of unwillingness and jealousy flashing across her face. She used many methods to win Gu Yenshin's appreciation, but never succeeded. The woman she found didn't know what tricks she had played on Gu Yenshin, but she succeeded. Lin Qingwan was a little confused and had not yet recovered from this contract. Recently, the debtor came to the house every day to cause trouble, and even hurt his mother, who had been working hard all day and her temples were turning gray. Desperate, she had no choice but to find a surrogacy company, just to raise money as soon as possible to make up for the loan shark borrowed by her father. "Why is my contract here with you?" Shun Wenxuan leaned lightly on the dressing table nearby. Her gaze fell on Lin Qingwan with a vague gaze, and the corners of her lips curled up slightly. Is this important? As long as you obey me, get pregnant, and give birth to the child, I will not give you a penny less. Lin Qingwan recalled that when she signed the contract, as soon as she wrote down her name, a group of people in black rushed in, tied her up, and gave her to a man. Coupled with what the woman said today and a series of things combined, she also understood that it was obviously this woman who was behind the scenes. Lin Qingwan looked at Shen Wenxuan with some difficulty. I signed a surrogacy agreement, but I do not accept having sex with a man. You are committing a kidnapping crime. The end result is that you are going to get pregnant and have a baby. Who cares about the process? With the current situation of your family, this is much better than going out to sell. Do you think you still have a choice now? Lin Qingwan's face suddenly turned pale. The group of debtors were completely inhumane and gave her no choice. And what this woman said was right. Who would care about the pregnancy process of a woman who gave birth to a child? Lin Qingwan's persistence collapsed instantly. As long as you listen to me, obediently, and my husband will give me a child. Hearing this, Lin Qingwan's eyes widened in disbelief, looking at Shen Wenxuan, who was arrogant in front of her like a monster.
What?
That man is this woman's husband. What a joke. This woman watched her husband being so intimate with other women. How could she bear it? This man is your husband. Why did you choose this method? The normal surrogacy method only requires the provision of medical conditions, but last night's method went far beyond the scope of surrogacy. What qualifications do you have to care about my affairs? The most important thing for you now is to help us give birth to a child. Shen Wenxuan screamed at Lin Qingwan like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. I can help you, but what happened last night can't happen again. That man is a devil. Lin Qingwan feels her soul tremble whenever she thinks about what happened last night. Oh, you're no longer a chaste girl. If you want money, don't negotiate terms with me. Shen Wenxuan sneered and slapped her hand on the dressing table nearby with a pop. A sound of slamming on the table suddenly sounded. Lin Qingwan, who was sitting on the bed, was agitated and clenched her hands tightly. Every word this woman said made her extremely embarrassed. It was obvious that she was forced and unwilling. But she couldn't refute this woman's words at all because she lost money, and she wanted to use the money to cover the high-interest debt borrowed by her father. Lin Qingwan slowly closed her eyes, a tear falling from the corner of her eye. Now, she has no choice. Chapter 2. The Truth. More than 10 days have passed. During this period, in order to cope with the possibility of being suddenly discovered, Lin Qingwan hid upstairs and studied Shen Wenxuan's every move according to the instructions of experts. The woman put away all her things that could contact outsiders. She seemed to be isolated from the world here. Bang! There was a sound of opening the door, and Lin Qingwan was frightened by the sudden movement. When she looked up, she saw Shen Wenxuan walking in from the outside. Shen Wenxuan walked straight to Lin Qingwan and threw the things in her hands on the table in front of Lin Qingwan. Try now. I want to know the result. Lin Qingwan looked down at the things on the table and was slightly startled. Pregnancy test stick? Under normal circumstances, it is indeed possible to tell whether you are pregnant on the 7th day. Is this woman going to accept the results? Lin Qingwan pursed her lips, picked up the pregnancy test stick, and went to the bathroom. Unexpectedly, the woman behind her, who was so arrogant in front of her, actually followed her into the bathroom. You. Shen Wenxuan interrupted Lin Qingwan impatiently. Hurry up. I'm watching you here to save you from making small moves. Although Lin Qingwan was a little reluctant, she still took the pregnancy test in front of Shen Wenxuan. Before Lin Qingwan could see the results of the pregnancy test stick, Shen Wenxuan immediately took the pregnancy test stick away. Bang! The pregnancy test stick flew across Lin Qingwan's face and fell to the ground. You know you are not pregnant. It seems that this money is destined to be lost to you. It's just a pity that you lost your virginity and didn't get the money. Lin Qingwan's face turned pale. She didn't expect that after doing so much, she wouldn't be pregnant yet. Lin Qingwan looked at Shen Wenxuan with a pale face. Can you give me another chance? I will definitely be able to get pregnant the second time. Otherwise, I can use surgery. Shen Wenxuan looked at Lin Qingwan with sharp eyes, looking her up and down. Under Shen Wenxuan's gaze, Lin Qingwan's heart became heavier and heavier. Could it be that she really had no chance? At this moment, Shen Wenxuan, who had been sizing up Lin Qingwan, suddenly said, "How have you learned all the etiquette and my every move?" Lin Qingwan's eyes lit up. When the woman asked this, it meant that she still had a chance. She nodded quickly. "I have been studying seriously." When Shen Wenxuan heard these words, her expression softened slightly, but when she thought of Su Yunqi, a hint of sinisterness flashed in her eyes. If she had Gu Yenshin's child, would her position as the eldest mistress of the Gu family be unstable? Su Yunqi wanted to squeeze her out of the Gu family, but it was difficult to do so. It's just that if she wants Gu Yenshin's child, she has to rely on the woman in front of her. Shen Wenxuan put her hand on Lin Qingwan's shoulder. Lin Qingwan shrank slightly and looked up at her. Shen Wenxuan said softly, "No matter what method you use this time, you must conceive the child. Otherwise, you will lose your wife and lose the army. Remember the most important point, play me well. If someone discovers your real existence, be careful, I will make your life worse than death." As he spoke, Shen Wenxuan pushed Lin Qingwan to the mirror, touched Lin Qingwan's face with one hand, and looked at her own appearance. Really like it. Lin Qingwan bit her lip and nodded slowly. As long as she seizes this opportunity, everything can be solved in just 1 year. A few days later, Banyue Lake Villa area. Lin Qingwan got out of the car and looked at the scene of people drinking and couldn't help but feel nervous. Ever since she learned that her pregnancy was unsuccessful, Shen Wenxuan had recently arranged for a specialized nutritionist to take care of her body and even determined her ovulation period. During the ovulation period, Shen Wenxuan was asked to attend the banquet in place of Shen Wenxuan and get close to Gu Yenshin. Lin Qingwan took a deep breath and glanced at the attendants coming and going around, as well as the men and women drinking and dancing inside. She had the urge to turn around and escape from here. She couldn't dance and had never attended such a large banquet, but thinking of what Shen Wenxuan had said in front of her before, Lin Qingwan was still ready to give it a try. Shen Wenxuan's assistant walked up behind Lin Qingwan and whispered in her ear, "Always remember your identity. Remember, what you want is money." Lin Qingwan nodded, recalling what she had learned and the arrogance that Shen Wenxuan showed in front of her at all times. She glanced at the scene in front of her, raised her legs and stepped on high heels and walked into the villa with her head held high. When the assistant saw that Lin Qingwan had imitated Shen Wenxuan's appearance to 8 or 9 points, she curled her lips with great satisfaction, raised her legs, and followed suit. Just thinking about that crazy night, Lin Qingwan felt trembling with fear. He was an extremely cruel man, but she was blindfolded that day and had no idea what Gu Yenshin looked like. Lin Qingwan's eyes swept across the hall, looking for people with a cruel nature based on her feelings. However, all the people attending the banquet were either rich or noble. With Lin Qingwan's eyes, it was impossible to tell who might be Gu Yenshin. In the end, it was Shen Wenxuan's assistant who told Lin Qingwan. Lin Qingwan looked in the direction the assistant said and saw a tall, handsome man with an aura of superiority that could not be ignored, standing in the crowd with a glass of wine in his hand. The people standing around Gu Yenshin were all successful people from all walks of life. Lin Qingwan had often seen them in newspapers or on the news. It was a rare opportunity to meet them in person today. Lin Qingwan admired Gu Yenshin very much in her heart, because among these people, not only was he not obscured by the people around him, but he was even more radiant. Gu Yenshin attracted the attention of almost most of the people at the banquet. However, Lin Qingwan also noticed that since she entered the banquet, Gu Yenshin's eyes had never fallen on her. He was chatting and drinking with everyone. Seeing this, Lin Qingwan couldn't help but let out a long sigh of relief. Fortunately, I gave her time to adapt. Before she came, Shen Wenxuan told her that Gu Yenshin would be given the medicine when the time came, as long as she took the time to find Gu Yenshin. Now that Lin Qingwan had nothing to do, she found a corner and sat quietly. Time passed slowly, and Lin Qingwan became more and more nervous. As long as she thought about what was going to happen after today, she wanted to give up on this matter. But thinking about the gambling debt owed by her father and her old mother with gray hair at home, Lin Qingwan had no choice but to grit her teeth and insist on not giving up halfway. Finally, the banquet was about to end. Shen Wenxuan's assistant, who had been standing behind Lin Qingwan, quietly bumped Lin Qingwan with his elbow. Lin Qingwan looked up and saw Gu Yanxin and a group of people walking out from the center of the banquet. Lin Qingwan noticed the cold aura around Gu Yanxin and couldn't help but flinch. She glanced at Shen Wenxuan's assistant and saw that the assistant gave her an urging look. Lin Qingwan gritted her teeth and stood up, following Gu Yanxin before he left the banquet hall. Gu Yanxin had already noticed Lin Qingwan when she followed him, frowned slightly, ignored Lin Qingwan, and got into the car as if Lin Qingwan didn't exist. Lin Qingwan saw that she was regarded as invisible by the man Gu Yanxin, and that she kept following this man. She was inexplicably embarrassed, but she was also lucky. If this man talked to her, she really didn't know how to react. As soon as Lin Qingwan got in the car before Gu Yanxin, she also got in from the other side of the car. Gu Yan closed the car door for a moment, then his cold eyes fell on Lin Qingwan. "Get out." A voice that brooked no rebuttal sounded, and Lin Qingwan shivered in her heart, silently lowering her head and pursed her lips without moving. She and Shen Wenxuan had similar looks and similar bodies, but their voices were different. If she spoke rashly, Gu Yanxin might realize that she was not Shen Wenxuan at all. In order not to reveal her fault, Lin Qingwan sat firmly in the car. Although she did not speak, her meaning was very obvious. She would not get out of the car. Gu Yanxin sneered. Is Shen Wenxuan so inseparable from men? But according to Shen Wenxuan's usual behavior, she might have pounced on him now. Why does she look different today than usual? Inexplicably, Gu Yanxin's mind recalled the scene of the intimate union that night, and a burst of anger suddenly burst out of his body. Looking at the motionless little woman beside him, a cold fragrance came from the woman's body and hit Gu Yanxin's heart directly. He reacted immediately. If Gu Yan couldn't detect what was going on now that he was so deep, his life of more than 20 years would have been in vain. He got Chinese medicine. This woman dared to drug him by any means necessary. Gu Yanxin's cold and sharp eyes were mixed with inexplicable flames, and the momentum around him seemed to be swept away by a cold wind. Lin Qingwan, who was sitting next to Gu Yanxin, felt that in just a moment, she seemed to have reached the center of the storm, and her whole body felt like falling into an ice cellar. Gu Yanxin clamped Lin Qingwan's chin with one hand. "You even use drugs? It seems you are really impatient." Lin Qingwan subconsciously wanted to resist, to break away from Gu Yanxin's big hand holding her chin, but because her mission this time was to conceive a child, Lin Qingwan gritted her teeth, and even though she was extremely reluctant, she straightened up and let Gu Yanxin's hand fall on her body. Seeing Lin Qingwan's heroic and sacrificial expression, Gu Yan suddenly laughed angrily at Lin Qingwan. "What are you doing? You drugged me and pretended to be unwilling. How come you are a bitch and want to build a memorial arch?" Lin Qingwan's face was slightly stiff, and she wanted to force herself to be less obvious, but when she thought of the pain that night, she wanted to escape. She simply closed her eyes. She couldn't escape now anyway, so she might as well accept it. As long as she successfully conceives the child today, she wouldn't have to go through such pain again, and her father's high-interest debt could be paid off, and she would be free. Gu Yan saw the sudden change in Lin Qingwan's face, and the movements of his hands became much gentler, but the coldness on his face did not fade away. Gu Yanxin's hand rubbed up from the hem of Lin Qingwan's clothes until he pinched Lin Qingwan's neck. Lin Qingwan, who was waiting for the storm with her eyes closed, suddenly opened her eyes. Gu Yanxin's hand used a lot of force, making it difficult for her to breathe. Gu Yan leaned closer to Lin Qingwan. "What? You want me to sleep with you, but you don't dare to open your eyes. Who are you pretending to be with this pitiful look? Do you really think I don't know about your dirty thoughts?" Snap! A crisp slap hit Yi Jingxing's face, and it was Su Yunxi who took advantage of him when he wasn't prepared. When Su Yunxi saw Gu Yanxin leaving without looking back, she gritted her teeth and turned around to leave. This job really makes people want to die on the spot. Yi Jingxing rubbed his face that was scratched by Su Yunxi's fake nails. Who would have thought that his life was so difficult? Excuse me, is this Gu Yanxin's office? Yi Jingxing was about to turn around and return to the office, but was stopped by someone again. He felt angry and said, "Who is it? Today is not over yet, is it?" "I'm sorry, did I bother you?" Lin Qingwan frowned. The person in front of her looked like she had seen it somewhere before, but looking at the marks on his face, something unpleasant must have happened just now. As soon as Yi Jingxing turned around, he met a pair of gentle and clear eyes, and all the anger he had just felt was miraculously extinguished. Fortunately, this person is not Su Yunxi. Otherwise, what he just did was enough to make him unemployed, right? No, but you. Yi Jingxing felt that the person in front of him looked very familiar, but he couldn't remember who he was. "I have something very important that I need to talk to Gu Yanxin face to face." Lin Qingwan frowned. Today, her father called and said that a loan shark has found the family. If the money is still not available, her father's life will be used to pay off the debt. But the person who asked her to be a surrogate mother was Shun Wenxuan. Now that Shun Wenxuan is dead, there is only one person who can help with a huge debt owed by her father. Although she knew that such a request was rude and would likely be looked down upon, she had no choice. But the young master is very busy now. If you have anything important, you can make an appointment with his secretary over the phone. Yi Jingxing frowned and glanced at the girl in front of him as if he suddenly remembered something. This was so similar. If Shun Wenxuan hadn't been able to say such polite words, he almost thought Shun Wenxuan was alive. "Who's out there?" Gu Yanxin originally wanted to come out to check on his secretary's work, but he didn't expect to bump into Lin Qingwan, who came to see him. Gu Yanxin was a little confused. Lin Qingwan actually came to find him in person. Could it be that someone was making things difficult for her again? "Master, this Miss Lin said she wanted to see you, but she didn't make an appointment." "You came out alone?" Gu Yan frowned deeply, looking at Lin Qingwan's obvious belly, feeling inexplicably irritated. "I have something to ask of you. I ran out secretly. I will apologize to the housekeeper properly when I get back." Lin Qingwan lowered her head, thinking that she had to ask for money, as if something was tightly tied to her heart. But how could he watch his father fall into the hands of such a group of people? Even though his father had all kinds of bad things, after all, he was kind to him in raising him. "Come in." Gu Yanxin looked at the submissive Lin Qingwan and felt very uncomfortable. Yi Jingxing looked at the backs of Lin Qingwan and Gu Yanxin and frowned. Who could this person be that could actually give the green light to the Wanyan principal monster? "Tell me what you have to say, and ask my driver to take you back." Looking at Lin Qingwan, who looked a little pale, Gu Yanxin rarely said something that sounded warm. "Sign the contract. I've already thought about the terms." Lin Qingwan was silent for a long time, but she still said this. "What?" Gu Yanxin was slightly startled and couldn't believe his ears. "Please sign a contract with me now. No matter what you think about me, I will definitely leave after giving birth to this child as promised. So please agree to one of my conditions." Gu Yanxin was stunned for a few seconds, then he thought about it and raised a cold smile. It's really ironic. I thought this woman was different from the previous women, but it turns out they all have a purpose. No matter what they pretended to be before, as long as they can achieve their goals, they can disguise themselves so deeply. I actually naively believed that this one might be different this time. "Tell me, what do you want?" The smile on Gu Yanxin's face disappeared without a trace for a moment. Lin Qingwan shuddered at the cold words and the sudden cold aura. "Money! I need money." "That's true. Tell me, what price do you plan to sell these 2 nights for?" Gu Yanxin gradually came closer, so close that Lin Qingwan could almost hear his breathing. "I will pay you back the money." Lin Qingwan's voice was trembling. She knew how much she wanted to borrow and how overestimating her words were, but now she had no choice, even if it takes a lifetime of work to pay it back. No need. Gu Yanxin turned around and stopped looking at Lin Qingwan. After all, it was all about money. Women in the world were all the same. Aren't you planning to use this child to make money anyway? If there is nothing else, don't waste my time here. The assistant will take you to the finance office to withdraw money. Gu Yanxin's words revealed undisguised impatience. No matter what you think, thank you. Lin Qingwan bowed. She knew that this incident was not her fault. God was punishing her for her father's fault. But what qualifications and position does she have to explain? She has always been a weak person, hasn't she? When facing things, you will just be patient. Gu Yanxin did not respond to Lin Qingwan's thanks, but remained silent for a while. Lin Qingwan lowered her head and left Gu Yanxin's office, followed by a terrible silence. Chapter 4. Redemption. Miss Lin, you don't look so good. Did the young master say something rude to you? Aunt Zhang, the housekeeper, looked at the listless Lin Qingwan and felt a little worried. The mood of pregnant women is easily affected during pregnancy. If the fetal air is damaged due to this incident, the consequences will be disastrous. It's okay, I'm fine. Lin Qingwan shook her head and forced a bitter smile. But I have to ask you to help convey that I want to go home for a while. It is an important matter that requires me to go back. I will come back as soon as possible, so you can rest assured that I will not run away. Lin Qingwan understood that if Gu Yanxin was here now, no matter what she said, she would not let her leave privately. Besides, in Gu Yanxin's eyes, she was already the kind of woman who would do anything for money. It's nothing, but Miss Lin, is it really okay for you to go out alone? Aunt Zhang frowned. Lin Qingwan is now more than 7 months pregnant. If she is allowed to go out by herself, the risk is too great. It doesn't matter. There is nothing wrong with my health. Lin Qingwan smiled. This housekeeper is really a very warm person, and every smile she makes seems to be reassuring. Are you trying to abscond with the money? Lin Qingwan felt a chill on her back, and Gu Yan came over with a cold snort. Why, it should be Gu Yanxin's time to go to work now, right? Aunt Zhang was also slightly surprised. Gu Yanxin was a principled person with a strong sense of time. How could he go home early? Or do you want to find a place to secretly give birth to the child and then use your identity as the Gu family's child to blackmail me? Gu Yanxin's voice was full of ridicule and coldness, which made Lin Qingwan's heart sting, but she couldn't say a word to refute. Isn't what he is doing now just relying on the child in his belly to borrow money to repay debts? Taking advantage of an unborn child. Isn't this something you did yourself? Master. Aunt Zhang frowned. Normally, wouldn't Gu Yanxin be used to it, even if an unrelated person was greedy for money? How could he get so angry for no reason? Gu Yanxin also realized that he was unusual. Yes, he has been unable to concentrate on his work since Lin Qingwan left the company. No matter how he diverted his attention, the image of Lin Qingwan just leaving with her head down and frustrated was still lingering in his mind. After spending these days together, something had already quietly sprouted in Gu Yanxin's heart. But he didn't notice it, and when Lin Qingwan's actions subverted his thoughts, all this quietly emerged. I really have no choice but to go home. I will be back soon. Lin Qingwan was a little embarrassed. After all, every word Gu Yanxin said hurt Lin Qingwan's already riddled self-esteem. It's up to you, but if something goes wrong, it's your own responsibility. Gu Yanxin found that the more he watched Lin Qingwan dazzling in front of his eyes, the more upset he became, and he simply turned away and stopped looking at her. Thank you for your consideration. Lin Qingwan nodded politely and turned to leave. Master, are you really just letting things go like this? Miss Lin is now 7 months pregnant. Aunt Zhang looked at the unmoved Gu Yanxin in confusion, vaguely worried about what accident might happen. The expression on Lin Qingwan's face was very solemn when she left, as if she was about to face something serious. Her panic was mixed with a little worry. What could be the reason for a pregnant woman to insist on going out even though it was already dark? Gu Yenshin was silent for a while. Due to the strong emotional impact, he could no longer organize his thoughts clearly. Ask my assistant to send someone to follow Lin Qingwan to ensure her safety. In fact, Gu Yenshin didn't think too much about Lin Qingwan's insistence on leaving. Maybe he had been poor for a long time and wanted to exchange the money for his own assets immediately after getting the money. As long as he is a normal person, he will be so excited after getting the money. Yes. Aunt Zhang nodded thoughtfully. In fact, Gu Yenshin still cared about Lin Qingwan, but why was he so harsh? Damn it! Gu Yenshin held his forehead. Maybe he had other thoughts about that girl. When Lin Qingwan got out of the taxi, the sky had turned completely dark. The cold wind was blowing, and today's weather was already a bit cold. At this time, it started to drizzle. Lin Qingwan tightened her clothes and plunged into the night, filled with cold rain. I think you, an old man, really don't know how to live or die. The man's mouth curled up, and the dagger in his hand reflected a cold light under the moonlight. Please give me another chance. I will definitely win back all the money. I have always been very lucky. As long as that unlucky vampire is not around, I will definitely win back the money. Lin Qingwan's father, Lin Jiangwo, stared blankly, looking like a man addicted to gambling. Oh, then I think it's better to write off this gambling debt. I'll give you some more money so that you can earn more. Do you think that's okay? The man leaned down and gently scratched Lin Jiangwo's cheek with his hand holding the knife, leaving a shocking wound. Okay. When Lin Jiangwo heard the man say this, he ignored the bleeding wound on his face and desperately grabbed the man's trousers. Ahem, that's so fucking disgusting. The man kicked away Lin Jiangwo, who was holding his calf, and spat on his face. You are really hopeless. Why don't I chop off one of your fingers to make you sober up, and then we can talk slowly? No. The man motioned to the boys following him to drag Lin Jiangwo up from the ground and press him on the table. Soon, a knife was inserted in front of Lin Jiangwo. Listen to me, please. My daughter has already rushed here with the money. Give me a moment. She will be here soon. Lin Jiangwo frantically got rid of the younger brothers who were holding him down and fell to his knees in front of the leading man with a plop. Oh! The man picked up Lin Jiangwo's head with a dagger with great interest. I said, Lin Jiangwo, you also have a daughter. Why haven't I heard you mention it? Lin Jiangwo heard what the man said and understood that it would be dangerous if Lin Qingwan came alone, but if Lin Qingwan didn't come to give money, he would be the unlucky one. My daughter has been obedient since she was a child. I have already talked to her on the phone, and she will be here soon. Lin Jiangwo's voice was hoarse, but it was obvious that the man was already interested in his daughter, which was enough to buy him some time. However, this does not conflict with me taking one of your fingers. The man tilted his head and laughed wildly. The fear of a scumbag like Lin Jiangwo is really addictive. No, you can't do this to me, Lin Jiangwo roared, but he couldn't break away from the strength of several people. Seeing the man raise the dagger in his hand, Lin Jiangwo's face turned completely pale with fear. Stop, the money is with me. Let go of my dad. Lin Qingwan panted heavily, but she didn't expect that she would become so weak after just running a few steps. What? She's a pregnant woman. The man's face was full of disappointment, but looking at the package in Lin Qingwan's hand, he let go of Lin Jiangwo, who was already crying. Why are you here, damn girl? Lin Jiangwo, who had been so humble just now, suddenly turned his anger on Lin Qingwan. Lin Qingwan has known her father too well over the years. In her eyes, she is just a burden to him. If he had now been able to repay his debt through surrogacy, Lin Jiangwo might not have been willing to admit that he had a daughter. The money you want is all here. You can take the money and leave. Lin Qingwan frowned, looking at Lin Jiangwo, who had been beaten beyond recognition. Her heart couldn't help but sting. Didn't anyone tell you that loan sharks add interest every hour? After the man opened the package, he showed that sinister smile again. He had really collected so much money, so he could still come up with more money, right? You are committing fraud. Lin Qingwan suddenly felt a pain in her stomach, probably because she had just been exposed to the rain. Oh! The man walked up to Lin Qingwan in a few steps, and the smile on his face gradually condensed. You are a little different from your cowardly father. You actually talk back. The man snorted coldly, and with his back to Lin Qingwan, he looked back and knocked Lin Qingwan to the ground with a slap. Lin Qingwan, who had no time to dodge, felt severe pain in her abdomen due to her sudden fall, and big beads of sweat rolled down her face. Lin Qingwan's face became paler. No, nothing can happen to the baby in your belly. What on earth do you want to do? Aren't you afraid that we will sue you? Lin Qingwan bit her lip and reluctantly held back the increasingly severe pain. She now had no idea what she should do. Sue me? You mean a gambler sues his creditor? Ha 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 ha. The man's laughter was very penetrating. Different from Gu Yenshin's indifference, that man had murderous intent in his eyes, and he was a very dangerous person. And you think that if you don't pay a price today, you can really leave unharmed? Let me see. The child in your belly should not have a father. Lin Qingwan's eyes widened in horror. Why did he mention this child at this time? Did he want to attack this child? Why that expression? You can't refute me, but if you are a married woman, why would you be allowed to go to such a dangerous place alone? Seeing that you have a father like this, no one would be surprised even if you get pregnant out of wedlock, right? If you look closely, this face does look quite pretty, but when you think about it, you are just a social butterfly with a smell of despicableness all over you. No matter what the man said, Lin Qingwan just lowered her head and endured. Even if that's the case, it's just a child that hasn't been born yet. Let us go. Lin Qingwan gritted her teeth and said every word, unable to be humble anymore. Child? How could such a dirty child be allowed to be born in this world? Even if he is not a good person, I still have the right to identify who should come into this world. What are you going to do? Lin Qingwan panicked and wanted to get up and run away, but she couldn't move at the moment because of the stinging pain in her abdomen. I have never met such a beautiful pregnant woman. What would it be like to have sex with a pregnant woman? The man gradually approached Lin Qingwan, and her frightened and angry expression made the man in front of her even more excited. Madman. Lin Qingwan raised her head with difficulty. You are worse than a beast. Oh, the man who originally had a smile on his face suddenly changed his face. After standing up, he kicked Lin Qingwan in the stomach. Although Lin Qingwan tried her best to dodge backwards, she still received some impact from the kick. The severe sting made Lin Qingwan's consciousness blurred. Looking at the man's twisted smile and the cowardly father hiding aside, Lin Qingwan smiled bitterly. It turns out that I am indeed an existence that is not needed in this world. But I obviously work so hard to live, even if I can see a little hope for myself once. It looks like it hurts. Why don't you let me end your pain? Seeing the man walking towards her step by step with a vicious smile, Lin Qingwan closed her eyes in despair. Everything was over. This knife was stabbed in the stomach, so it was a cesarean section. I haven't seen a newborn child yet. The twisted smile on the man's face was shocking, like a devil from hell. Take your dirty hands away! Gu Yenshin broke in and kicked away the man who was snarling just now. When Lin Qingwan heard the voice, she opened her eyes in surprise and found Gu Yenshin standing in front of her, frowning like a lion whose territory had been violated. Asshole! Who dares to touch me? The man became angry and stood up with difficulty, only to see a pair of frightening eyes. I don't think you are the one who knows whether to live or die. Gu Yenshin's thin lips parted slightly, adding a bit of a cold aura compared to the usual cold man. Just 2 hours ago, the person Gu Yenshin sent to follow Lin Qingwan secretly called him in a panic. Master, the situation is not good. Miss Lin seems to have fallen into the hands of a loan shark, and even if she takes out the money, the loan shark still refuses to give up. Location. Send the location immediately. Gu Yenshin's voice on the phone was frightening. After Yi Jingxing hurriedly sent him his location, he called another person. How come it never occurred to me that she would have something to hide? Knowing that she was such a brave person, He still let her go out alone at night. Gu Yanxin had mixed emotions along the way. He obviously cared so much about Lin Qingwan, but he still did something that made him regret it. What if something happened to Lin Qingwan? Are you okay? Gu Yanxin leaned over to help up the weak Lin Qingwan. Looking at her, who was already in a semi-conscious state, his face darkened. Hey, who do you think you are? How dare you come here alone? Why? A hero must choose an occasion to save a beauty. The man picked up the dagger on the ground with a fierce look on his face. Then who do you think you are talking to? Yi Jingxing's voice came from outside the door. It's really pitiful to be so self-righteous and arrogant even when death is imminent. The door was slowly pushed open, and a dozen neatly dressed people stood at the door. A cold atmosphere quickly spread in the room. Who are you? The man obviously lacked confidence when he saw such a scene, and his voice began to tremble when he spoke. You don't need to know. Yi Jingxing motioned to the people around him to pull the man out of the door. As for the other boys, they were beaten up by the people brought by the assistant in a moment. Lin Qingwan, hey, you woman, please open your eyes. You can't fall asleep. Do you hear me? I'm ordering you. Gu Yanxin looked at Lin Qingwan, who was breathing weakly in his arms and was at a loss for a moment. Are you here? Mr. Gu. Thank you. Lin Qingwan opened her eyes with difficulty and tried her best to smile. It turned out that God had not completely forgotten her. When did you say this again? Seeing that Lin Qingwan could barely speak, Gu Yan's deeply frowned eyebrows slightly widened. What? He is such a worrying person. But Mr. Gu, my stomach hurts so much. If I die, please save my child. 2 lines of hot tears burst out of Lin Qingwan's eyes and turned cold when they flowed into Gu Yanxin's hands. Call an ambulance. Gu Yanxin shouted loudly, but Lin Zhangwo, the only one left in the room, was still hiding in the corner and shivering unmoved. That man over there. Call an ambulance. Ambulance, ambulance. Lin Zhangwo suddenly came to his senses. Seeing Lin Qingwan, who was dying, he quickly got up and dialed the emergency number. Bring the quilt over here, quickly. Seeing Lin Qingwan's body getting weaker, Gu Yanxin felt at a loss as never before. Who are you and how do you know my daughter? Lin Zhangwo knew from looking at Gu Yanxin's aura that this was definitely not an ordinary person. And seeing that Lin Qingwan was in bad condition and still so anxious, could it be possible that this was the father of the child in Lin Qingwan's belly? So, as a father, when you see your daughter in such a condition, you still ask me about my identity. Is she really your biological daughter? Gu Yanxin was really angry when he saw that Lin Qingwan's father turned out to be such a person. Master, the ambulance will be here soon. There are clean clothes in the car. Do you want to change your clothes first? When Yi Jingxing mentioned the clothes, Gu Yanxin realized that he had only thought about rescuing Lin Qingwan. He got out of the car and rushed into the rain. Now he was soaked through. That doesn't matter. Gu Yan looked worriedly at Lin Qingwan lying in his arms, like a helpless kitten, so weak and lifeless. Hurry and help the patient onto the stretcher. The ambulance staff rushed in and pushed the door open. Master, let me help Miss Lin. Get out of the way. Gu Yanxin picked up Lin Qingwan and got into the ambulance. Yi Jingxing was slightly startled. Was the woman in front of him such an important person to Gu Yanxin? First aid was still being carried out. Gu Yanxin sat in the cold corridor with nowhere to release the chaos in his heart. Lin Qingwan's appearance was beyond his expectation. When he saw her, he had an inexplicable feeling in his heart. But now Gu Yanxin just wanted to wait until she was out of danger to make sure of his inner feelings for this woman. How is it? Is the woman inside out of danger? Looking at the doctor coming out of the emergency room, Gu Yanxin immediately stood up and asked. Although the abdomen suffered a shock, fortunately, the impact on the child in the abdomen is not fatal. However, the pregnant woman's emotions may affect her future recovery. In addition, due to being exposed to the rain, she has already started to have a fever. The doctor frowned. If we can get through the dangerous period tonight, then we can really breathe a sigh of relief. I understand, thank you. Gu Yanxin's eyes, which were still shining just now, instantly lost their color. He sat on the seat in the corridor and sighed. "Master, it's already 1 o'clock in the morning. You should go back and rest first. I'll be here to guard you. If anything happens, I will notify you as soon as possible." Yi Jingxing looked at the listless Gu Yanxin in the corridor and hurried forward. "You go back first." Gu Yanxin's eyes skipped Yi Jingxing and landed on the display light of the emergency ward. Yi Jingxing wanted to continue to persuade Gu Yanxin not to tire himself out, but when he saw his distracted expression, he took back his words. Chapter 5. New Life. "You are such a troublesome woman." Gu Yanxin sat in front of the hospital bed, looking at the sleeping Lin Qingwan, with mixed feelings in his heart. Gu Yanxin has been by Lin Qingwan's side since she was pushed out of the emergency room. Although Lin Qingwan always had this quiet look in her mind, when she saw herself, she would either dodge awkwardly or greet her respectfully. Perhaps he was that kind of unreasonable and cold-blooded person in front of Lin Qingwan, just like he had shown such a personality in front of most people over the years, intentionally or unintentionally. But actually, at least in front of Lin Qingwan, I didn't want to be so inhumane. I don't know why, but every time I see Lin Qingwan, I can't help but want to get closer. But after being discovered, I start to cover my thoughts with indifference. He has never had such feelings for a girl. Of course, he understands that although he is not sure whether he likes her yet, he at least understands that Lin Qingwan is a special existence to him. Master, those gangsters have been dealt with. Yi Jingxing came to the empty and cold corridor of the hospital. Sent to the police station? Although Gu Yanxin came to the corridor, his eyes still carelessly glanced in the direction of Lin Qingwan's ward when he spoke. According to the wishes of the young master, after giving him a lesson, he should not be able to cause trouble to Miss Lin anymore. Gu Yanxin nodded. Master, I would like to ask, who is this Miss Lin? Yi Jingxing still couldn't contain his curiosity. Of course, no one would be curious about this matter. Your curiosity has gone too far lately. Sorry. Yi Jingxing lowered his head to avoid Gu Yanxin's sharp gaze. Even if he was not in the company, he was still as unhuman as ever. By the way, try not to let as many unnecessary people know about this matter as possible. Gu Yanxin was about to turn around, but suddenly thought of something and turned back and warned. Especially Su Yunxi. Absolutely don't reveal anything to her. I understand. The young master is afraid that Miss Su will be jealous if she finds out? Gu Yanxin turned around, his eyes full of coldness. Yi Jingxing immediately slapped himself on the face gently and wisely. I'm talking too much again. If you keep talking too much, even if you have been my friend for so many years, I will still fire you. Yi Jingxing curled his lips and murmured in a low voice. What? Does this ice-faced person know that he has been my friend for so many years? What did you say? I said, I'm going to make a cup of coffee for the young master. Lin Qingwan's attending doctor will not go back to rest today. Understood. Seeing that Gu Yanxin had finished explaining, Yi Jingxing hurriedly left angrily. Lin Qingwan suddenly made a weak sound in the ward, and Gu Yanxin rushed in immediately, only to see her sweating and frowning in pain. Doctor, call the doctor quickly. The medical staff heard the sound and rushed over. Looking at Gu Yanxin, who had panic written all over his face, they hurriedly asked about the situation. She has a fever and looks very painful. She keeps tossing and turning, but she doesn't wake up no matter how hard she screams. Gu Yanxin had just fallen asleep, but Lin Qingwan's weak movement made him sensitively open his eyes. Looking at Lin Qingwan, whose face was covered with sweat, he froze for a few seconds before calling the doctor. Send to the emergency room. The patient is in danger now. What did you say? What's wrong with her? When Gu Yanxin heard the news that the doctor said he was going to the emergency room, his heart seemed to be stinging, but he seemed unable to do anything. He could only stand there in a panic and helpless. Sir, please give way. Your wife is in danger now. The nurse beside him kindly reminded her, and Gu Yanxin came to his senses. But what did she, this woman Lin Qingwan, do wrong? Why should we be punished like this? Gu Yan moved to the side dully, his eyes still dull. Master? Master? Yi Jingxing put his hand in front of Gu Yanshin's eyes and shook it. Master, Miss Lin has been sent to the emergency room.